Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Champions video. Today I'm going to be looking at cards from Rocket Raccoon. The folks over at Step Into the Portal got a copy of Galaxy's Most Wanted. They showcased the cards. They did a fairly lengthy stream playing through the entire campaign in that box. There'll be a link to check out that video in the description. So I'm just going to go through the cards that they revealed. I'm going to basically just give my opinions on them. This card here is from when Rocket was first announced. So we're just going to take a look at this card here. This is Rocket Raccoon's alter ego side. So 3 recovery. Starts with a hand size of 6 and 9 hit points. He's a genius and an outlaw. Has the tinkering ability. So it's an action. Choose and discard a tech upgrade you control to draw 2 cards. Limit once per round. So a lot of what Rocket is going to be dealing with is tech upgrades. Basically, he'll have weapon cards that come in with a certain number of counters on them, and then you can only use that weapon really while there are counters on them. So a lot of them are saying like remove a counter to do something, and then like remove a counter to do damage, and then once all the counters are gone, you can then use his tinkering ability to basically choose a tech upgrade, discard it, and draw 2 cards. So really good way to get card draw. He does have ways to mess with the counters on his weapons as well. But so that is the alter ego side for Rocket. We're gonna look at Rocket's hero form card next. We'll be right back with that. And we are back with the hero side for Rocket. So Rocket Raccoon, 2 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense. He's a guardian. Hand size goes down to 5, 9 hit points. Has the murder to you response. So after you deal excess damage to an enemy, draw 1 card. So basically, if you have an enemy that has 2 health and he does 3 to it, he gets to draw a card. So whenever he's dealing an excessive amount of damage, he's getting card draw from that. So he has card draw from the murder you thing. He also has card draw from tinkering. So he's going to be able to be drawing a bunch of cards depending on what he's doing. So if he's in alter ego form, he can discard tech upgrades to draw cards. And then if he's doing excess damage in hero form, he can draw cards as well. So again, 2 thwart, 1 attack, 1 defense. Rocket's attack mostly comes, it doesn't really come from him. It mostly comes from tech upgrades and weapons. So we'll be getting to those a little bit later in the video. But I believe that's why his attack is just a 1. Because it's going to be the upgrades dealing the damage and not necessarily him. I mean, he's basically using them, but that's how he's augmenting his attack. I do believe he has 1 card at least that does give him additional attack on his base stat as well. But that is Rocket Raccoon. We're going to start moving into the rest of the cards of his deck. I'm going to give my thoughts on those, and we'll be right back with them. And the first card we're looking at from his deck is Looking for Trouble. So it looks like Rocket is going to be an aggression deck. We're going to be doing a video after this one. They also revealed a bunch of the Groot cards. So it looks like Groot is a protection. So we have aggression and protection. And then, of course, the other Guardians having their own aspects as well. But this is Looking for Trouble. It's a 0-cost event. Generates a physical resource when you discard it. It's a little bit blurry, but it's a hero action. Looks like it's a thwart action. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until you discard a minion. Put that minion into play engaged with you. Remove 3 threat from the main scheme. So, nice way to remove threat. Gets a minion into play. It's kind of very similar to, I think it's, was it like Defender of the 9 Realms or whatever the card is from the Thor deck that basically had you engaging a minion and then also removing threat. So, 0-cost way to remove threat. Lets you basically filter through some of the encounter deck as well. So if you know if you know exactly what's on top, if you're using other like minions that allow you to rearrange the encounter deck, or like Heimdall's ability, you can then use this to get rid of some of those other more damaging cards, maybe like Obligations or Shadows of the Past or anything like that. So that is Looking for Trouble. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Follow Through. It's a 2-cost upgrade. It generates a mental resource when you discard it. It's a skill. When your hero's attack deals any amount of excess damage, increase that amount by 1. So again, Rocket has his ability where if he deals excess damage, he gets to draw cards, and if he does have weapons and upgrades that will gain overkill. So this will allow weapons that have, if you have excess damage from overkill, he'll get to draw cards with his ability, and then this will also allow him to increase basically the extra damage by 1. So you're doing attacking at 2 minion with 2 health, or that has 2 hit points, and you have a weapon that gives you, let's say it's 4 attack, and with overkill, you're dealing 2 to the enemy, defeating the enemy. You're having 2 damage spill over to like the villain or something, or some other enemy, and then again, Rocket's ability would trigger to draw a card, and then this ability would trigger to increase that excess damage by 1. So basically, it would be deal 2 damage to the enemy and defeat them, and then that 2 extra damage, if you're doing 4, becomes 3 extra damage. So pretty cool upgrade. So cost 2, and then if you have a lot of weapons again that give you overkill, this is going to allow you to do more damage with that. So that is pretty cool. So that is follow through. We're going to move into our next card. And speaking of weapons with overkill, we now have the hand cannon. 2 cost upgrade. It's a tech and a weapon. Generates a physical resource if you discard it. It's restricted. Uses 3 charge counters. And it's a hero interrupt. When your hero makes a basic attack, exhaust the hand cannon. Remove 1 charge counter from it. Your hero gets +2 attack for this attack. And then the attack also gains overkill. So, again, this will allow Rocket to trigger. It will work very well with follow-through. And then once you have no counters on it, you can discard it to the alter ego for Rocket to allow him to draw cards. So, cool way to get overkill. And then also gives you +2 attack on your basic attack. So with Rocket, it's going to be doing 3 damage. So you basically exhaust it, get +2 from this. And if you haven't adjusted Rocket's attack at all, his attack is 1, so this will be doing 3. You're going to then also play upgrades on Rocket to pump up his basic attack value as well. So that is the hand cannon. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have Bug. It's a 2 cost ally. Generates an energy resource when you discard it. 1 thwart, 1 attack with 1 incidental damage for each. 2 hit points, also a guardian. And as a hero response, after your hero makes a basic attack, heal 1 damage from Bug. So basically, whenever you're attacking or making a basic attack, you get to heal from him. And he has 2 health, so 2 health for 2, pretty good there. And then he can attack twice, thwart twice, or do 1 of each. And then if you're also attacking, you'll get to use those abilities again because he'll be gaining basically healing 1 damage every time you do that. So that is pretty good. So that is Bug. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have Groot. So the ally version of Groot. Like with a lot of these team up decks, or pretty much all of them so far, the hero will have their counterpart as an ally in the deck. So Scarlet Witch has a ally version of Quicksilver. Quicksilver has an ally version of Scarlet Witch. Rocket and Groot are no different. So 3 cost, generates a wild resource when you discard it. It's an ally, 1 thwart with 1 consonant or incidental damage, 2 attack with 2 incidental damage, 6 hit points, pretty strong there, and play only if you have the Guardian trait. And as a response, after Groot defends against an attack, heal 2 damage from him. So he's going to be able to soak up quite a bit of damage. So let's say you get him out, you attack for 2, he takes 2, he's at 4. Let's say he basically defends against an attack of 3, he'll take that damage, but then also heal 2. So that'll keep him around a little bit longer. And again, that 2 attack for 2 damage is, the 2 consequential damage is kind of rough, but then he does have a way to heal by defending, which is pretty sweet. So that is the ally version of Groot. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Booster Boots, 1 cost upgrade. Generates a mental resource when you discard it. It's armor and also tech. Play only if your identity has the Guardian trait, max 1 per player. As a hero interrupt, when you would take any amount of damage from an attack, exhaust Booster Boots and discard the top card of your deck to prevent 1 of that damage. So, tech upgrade allows you to prevent 1 damage. And interesting that it doesn't give you... I don't know if these are like Star-Lord's boots where they actually, like, I imagine will give you aerial. That's kind of interesting that you don't get aerial on these. Again, I don't exactly know if these make you fly or not, but I kind of just assume that they kind of do. But it's 1 more kind of like tech card for Rocket to use, and also potentially discard. So you get it out, discard it with his ability to draw 2 cards. But also cool because you can basically use it to prevent damage. So those are Booster Boots. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Shadowfriday. 2 cost event generates a physical resource when you discard it. It's a hero action. Until the end of the turn, heal 2 damage from Rocket Raccoon each time you deal any amount of damage to an enemy. So I probably out of all the cards for Rocket, this is probably my favorite one, at least thematically. So Rocket in the comics and in movies is just always, like laughing at people getting shot, laughing at other people's misfortune, joking about all that kind of stuff. And this card just fits him perfectly. And the fact that he'll have weapons that do damage, he'll be able to do attacks on his own as well. So and then basically says until the end of the turn, heal 2 damage from him whenever you causes any amount of damage to an enemy. So basically, let's say he attacks. Damages an enemy, heals 2. He uses a weapon upgrade to also deal damage to an enemy. He gets to heal 2. This is really, really amazing because it also keeps him in hero form, so he doesn't have to flip over to alter ego form and exhaust to recover health. This allows him to recover quite a bit of health if you have ways to, like do multiple attacks, maybe ready him more than once, and that kind of thing. And then again, just like the flavor and like the theme of this card is just perfect for Rocket Raccoon, and I absolutely love this card. So that is Shadowfriday. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Ive Got A Plan. It's a 1-cost event, generates a mental resource when you discard it. It's a tactic, and it's a hero response. After you make a basic thwart using your thwart, ready Rocket Raccoon, he gets +1 thwart while in hero form for the rest of the phase. So basically, you basically do this, you thwart, you get to ready him, and then when you thwart again, if you're just trying to remove threat, he gets +1 for the thwart as well. And I love that he's got the arm on here, which is kind of definitely a throwback to. I'm not familiar with this particular issue of the comic, but I remember very clearly the movie scene where he's like, "Hey, I need this, this, and this," and that guy's arm, or well, it was a leg, I think actually, but a leg in the prison breakout from the first movie. So again, very thematic to Rocket, and it allows him to thwart and then basically ready himself to thwart again with a bonus. So that is Ive Got A Plan. We're going to move into our next card. Yeah, I guess it was Buggy who he wanted the arm from, and the other guy he wanted the leg from. But yeah, we'll be right back with the next card. And next up, we have the Rocket Launcher. It's a 3-cost upgrade. Generates a physical resource when you discard it. It's tech and the weapon restricted. Enters play with 2 charge counters on it. It's a hero action. Exhaust Rocket Launcher and remove 1 charge counter from it to choose a player and then deal 2 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. So if you have a player, including yourself maybe, that has a bunch of minions engaged with you, you can exhaust it, remove a counter, target yourself, do 2 damage to all the minions that are engaged with you, and also hit the villain for 2 as well. I think this will combo really well with Thor because if somebody's playing as Rocket, somebody's playing as Thor, and Thor has a whole thing where he basically is kind of like goading minions into attacking him. You can have a bunch of minions engaged with Thor, and then have the Rocket player target Thor, use the Rocket Launcher, remove the counter, hit all those minions for 2, and then also hit the villain. Really, again, also with something like Ultron drones. If there's a bunch of Ultron drones that are attacking one player, this could be a good way to kind of just like sweep a lot of those drones right off the board with this. So that is the Rocket Launcher. It basically comes in with two counters, so it's good for 2 attacks, or at least 2 attacks, because we'll get to ways where Rocket can actually replenish some of these tech upgrades. But definitely a good way to help a player out that has maybe more minions than they can handle, and a good way to potentially wipe out a bunch of them. So that is the Rocket Launcher. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Rocket's Pistol. It's tech and an upgrade, 1 cost, generates an energy resource when you discard it. It's also restricted, enters play with 3 charge counters, and as a hero action as an attack, exhaust the pistol, remove a charge counter from it to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So comes into play, basically comes in with a few charge counters on it. You basically exhaust it, remove a counter to deal 2. So if Rocket has a bunch of his weapons out, his attack is going to be, his basic attack is still just 1. Let's say you haven't even upgraded his attack. A lot of his attack, like I said earlier, is going to be coming from these other weapons. So especially if you have ways to give attacks overkill, you're going to be able to trigger his ability, especially if you're dealing excess damage to something. And then also with follow through, this could also trigger that. and it's a nice upgrade. So like 1 cost gets you basically 6 damage if you basically don't recharge the gun basically. So 3 counters, 2 damage per counter, and then once it's depleted, you can then actually discard it with Rocket's alter ego ability to draw cards. So that is Rocket's pistol. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have is the battery pack. 1 cost upgrade generates an energy resource when you discard it. It's an item and tech. Enters play with 2 charge counters on it. It is an action. Exhaust battery pack. Move a charge counter from this card to another tech upgrade you control. So this is what I was talking about earlier where I was saying Rocket will have cards, or at least this card particularly, that will allow him to keep those other upgrades basically loaded essentially, so or powered up. So with the rocket launcher, basically you can use the rocket launcher, then use the battery pack, move the counter to the rocket launcher to essentially reload it, move weapons to the hand cannon or to Rocket's pistol or the Rocket's pistol as well, and allow you to keep those tech upgrades in play for a little bit longer. So basically, this allows you to move up to 2 counters can be moved off of it to your other upgrades, and then again you could use it once it's depleted. You can discard it with Rocket's ability and all that good stuff to draw cards. So that is the battery pack. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have the thruster boots. I think this is what I was kind of maybe confusing the booster boots with. These ones actually do give aerial. But 1 cost upgrade generates a mental resource when you discard it. It's armor and a tech. And while in hero form, Rocket Raccoon gets +1 thwart and gains the aerial trait. So he gets aerial, and his thwart is increased. So I still think the booster boots are, again, I don't know if it's just like a thematic difference where these ones actually cause you to fly. I don't know if the booster boots actually do. But these ones, again, armor and tech, that'll allow you to get aerial, get +1 thwart. And then if you need to deal more damage or you want to get rid of the upgrade, you can also just then use Rocket's ability to get rid of it and draw cards. So those are the thruster boots. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have the Cybernetic Skeleton. It's a 2 cost upgrade. Generates an energy resource when you discard it. It's a tech upgrade. You get +3 hit points, and while in hero form, Rocket Raccoon gets +1 attack. So kind of reminds me of the scene in the first Guardians movie when they're kind of like in prison and you see Rocket with his shirt off. He's got like all the kind of like holes on him and like kind of like wounds from when he's been experimented on. So you get +3 hit points of this, which is pretty good. So it brings Rocket up to 12 hit points. And when you're in hero form, you get +1 attack. So his attack is 1. This will allow you to get it up to 2. Or like providing you don't have any other upgrades on him to boost his attack. But that is the Cybernetic Skeleton. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have Reload. It's a 1 cost event. Generates an energy resource when you discard it. It's a skill. It's a hero action. Ready each tech upgrade you control. So let's say you use the rocket launcher 1 turn. And let's say you have battery pack. You can basically exhaust rocket launcher, remove a counter, do what the card says. Target a player, hit all the minions, engage with them, hit the villain. And then you exhaust battery pack, move a counter to rocket launcher, reload, reset both of those, and then fire the rocket launcher again, or any of the other weapons that you have ready for rocket. So that is a cool way to basically just turn it into a huge turn where you're basically doing a ton of damage by using your tech weapons, exhausting them, using them, and then reloading them and readying them all again. So that is Reload. We're going to move into our next card. And next up we have Salvage. It's a resource card. So it generates a mental resource and a wild resource when you use it for a resource. And after you spend this card, put a tech upgrade from your discard pile on top of your deck. So you can basically scrap the tech upgrades of Rocket's ability to draw cards, and then when you do Salvage, you can get some of those tech upgrades back on top of your deck, and then potentially maybe scrap another tech upgrade and draw the card that you put back on. So cool that it generates 2 resources, and it allows you to get back your tech upgrades. We're going to look at one last card, and that's going to be it for this video, but we'll be right back with that final card. Alright, and the final card from this video, this is from the original stream where Rocket and Groot were first announced, months ago. But this is the particle cannon, 3 cost upgrade. Generates a mental resource when you discard it. Its tech and the weapon restricted. Enters play with 2 charge counters on it. And as a hero action, attack, exhaust particle cannon. Remove a charge counter from it to deal 4 damage to an enemy. The attack gains overkill and it gains range. So basically, it gains if you deal enough damage to an enemy to defeat it. The remaining damage goes to something else, and then also has ranged, which it's been a while since I've used weapons that had range, but I believe it gets around retaliate. So retaliate normally is when you attack something, you take damage from attacking. Like Captain America's shield has retaliate, for example. Some enemies have it as well. But this will allow you to get around retaliate, deal 4 damage, and also potentially hit something else as well. It also couples well with Rocket's ability. When he does excess damage, he gets to draw cards, and then also with cards like Follow Through, which will allow you to increase that extra damage by 1. So that is the particle cannon. That's going to do it for this video. We're going to go and record another video for all the cards that were revealed for Groot. He's got some cool cards, so we'll have that video up probably immediately following this one. Probably going to get this Rocket Raccoon video up tonight. Probably going to get the Groot up video up tomorrow. So you have that to look forward to. Again, that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching, and take care.